everybody, it's me, MiaFran again. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and to another Fruits Basket Season 3 review. So, no face cam today. I just wanted to talk about the new episode that just came out. It's going to be episode 2. The title of this episode was That's an Unwavering Truth. And it was available both subbed and dubbed. So you can watch both or either, whichever you prefer, on Funimation and Crunchyroll. And let's just get into all of the juicy details of what we saw in this episode. So spoiler warning, I am going to be discussing everything that happened in the episode. So if you haven't seen it yet, or if you're not caught up, you have been warned. But basically what was going on in this episode is we see Toru she is questioning her role in all of this a little bit because, she just found out, again, she's kind of going over the information that she learned from Kureno in the last previous episode and in the final episode of season 2. That one, Akito is a woman, and that only 4 of the Zodiac members know that she's a woman, and Toru is trying to figure out, well, how do I deal with that? I can't be the one to tell people, others, because, one, she feels like it's not, her place to tell other people, but she knows that it's a very tough subject to bring up, and so she also kind of questions it later on in the episode when she talks to Shigure, alone, they're talking together, and she thinks about asking him about it because, of course he knows, but in the end she doesn't ask him, even though he knows what she's gonna ask because he knows that she was told the information by Kureno. And we get to see a flashback of, it happened in season 2, I believe this was in the last few episodes, or it was in the last episode of season 2, Kureno and Shigure are talking on the phone. And we got to hear more of that conversation between them, and so we do learn that Shigure does not like Kureno. Kureno's like, if you hate me, that's fine, you can hate me, and Shigure's like, yeah, I really hate you. He hates him really, really badly. He doesn't like Kureno. And we kind of find out as well that in the past, when Akito and Shigure were much younger, there was a time where Akito asked Shigure, "Do you love me?" And Shigure gives her a flower and tells her, "I am the person that loves you the most. Out of all the people here, I have the most love for you. My love is most important, pretty much." He's basically telling her that he loves her the most. Out of literally everybody that says that they love her, he loves her more than anybody does. And so, she's kind of, as they grew up, really, as both of them grew up, she kind of figured okay, well, that means he's gonna, stay with me, he's gonna love me. And I guess she was also kind of hoping that it was a romantic kind of love because it's obvious that he's in love with her. Shigure is in love with Akito, very much so, to the point where he's willing to do anything. He said before, he's willing to hurt other people if it means that Akito is safe and protected and okay. That's just how his love for her kind of manifests itself, I guess is a good word to say. I personally don't think that the way he loves her, expresses his love for her, is a good thing, because we do learn later on in the episode, and this is, speaking from a manga reader perspective, I was like, nope, you gotta say it out loud. Because I was remembering nope, this intense moment, this intense scene between Shigure and Akito that happens after he takes his editor to this restaurant, and she's waiting for him, and she kind of finds him in another part of this big restaurant, and he's talking to these 2 people, and she's like, who, if you know those people, we should have invited them to join us, for drinks, or having a business dinner, I guess, business drinks or something. And he's like, as much as I would like to invite them, I don't want to invite my parents to this, business dinner, and she's like, oh, those were her parents. Because they do mention, or his mom mentions, you should probably say hello to Akito at least, because Akito's gonna be there. It's like a family dinner, but only for like certain members of the family, like the high-ranking members apparently. And so he's not very interested in that apparently, which like he clearly is, because Akito's there, and you see Akito arrive. She's wearing a suit because of course she's presenting as male to the rest of the family, and in public, and Kureno's there with her as well. And of course, you know, Shigure's not gonna want to go say hello if Kureno's there. And so later on, Akito comes home, and she finds out that Shigure is waiting for her in her room. And then we have this intense conversation where Akito asks him if he remembers what he told her when they were younger. You know, we're talking about the flashback scene that I mentioned earlier. And he, of course, you know, Shigure being Shigure does this, like, you know, very sly, kind of snarky response, and Akito, you know, doesn't think it's funny. You know, she's like being serious about this, and you can really see that, you know, she's very hurt by something. And we find out, which, you know, if you're a manga reader, you already know this, she's angry because, you know, she asks him, like, who was that woman you were with? He's like, it's nobody important. She's like, oh, really? So you haven't slept with her yet? And I'm sure a lot of people were very surprised to hear that. But as we've already learned, Akito has slept with Kureno before. They have like a sexual relationship. And we even see that kind of hinted at in the beginning of the episode, because like it's like a dream that Akito's having about this flashback. And she wakes up and you can see that she's sleeping next to Kureno, and they're both, you know, they don't have clothes on. You can see kind of that they're both, you know, bare shoulders under this blanket. But back to this intense scene. And Shigure's like, you know, why would you say that? Like, you know, why would you say that I sleep with every woman I know or that I meet? And Akito's like, well, because you slept with her. And when she mentions her, he's like, her? Like, who do you mean? Like, he wants her to say it out loud, basically. And so she gets really upset. And she's like, you slept with Ren. And Ren is her mother. So, for you anime onlys, I want to know in the comments, what did you think of this revelation that Shigure slept with Akito's mother? And then, what did you feel when you hear Shigure say back to Akito, well, I only slept with her because you slept with Kureno. So, yeah, it's very, very revenge kind of filled relationship that they have together. It's one of the relationships in the series that still kind of does bother me, only because I feel like the whole like revenge thing of like, well, you slept with him, so I slept with your mom. You know, it's like that's kind of a whole like, you know, your mom joke, but you know, it's very serious. It's one of those things that, you know, you don't really expect from a series like Fruits Basket. At least when I first read it, you know, I was like in middle school, like early high school when I finished it. So I was kind of like taken aback a little bit. I was like, oh, wow, okay. So, you know, I mean, I knew it was implied in the series. Like, I think there are even, I swear, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think I do remember seeing some panels of the manga where, like, you know, you see, like, Akito, like, topless or something. I don't remember, unless I'm making that up. But I distinctly remember seeing that, just because I remember going back to it and being like, wow, like, oh my gosh. Like, they're showing this in this manga. But anyway, so they're having this back and forth, and of course we learned that they're both kind of like hurt by that, you know, by each other. Shigure, I guess, you know, didn't expect her to sleep with Kureno, and is still continuing to. And she obviously was not expecting him to sleep with her mother. But they get very like heated, very intense, this conversation, and he's going to leave. And then she stops him, like turns him around from leaving and like kisses him. And it's very intense, very quiet. You could hear like a pin drop during this part. And, you know, he kind of makes this snide remark to her, but loosens her tie. And then, you know, as quick as a whistle, basically, he, you know, removes her tie and he gets on top of her, and that's the last we see of that, and we don't see anything else until we cut to afterwards. So it's implied heavily that they slept together, like right then and there. And then we see him, covering her up, and she's shirtless, and you don't see anything, but he's like, putting a blanket or his clothes over her to keep her warm, I guess. So they just slept together. I think it's implied that they've slept more than once with each other at this point. I can't remember. If I am wrong, if this is the first time they've slept together, then it is the first. If not, then they've done this before, but it's kind of like a heat of the moment thing. This isn't really them sleeping together like on a whim, or maybe it is, I guess. What I'm trying to say is, like, this isn't let's be together kind of sex, I guess. Well, not I guess, like, that's what it was, but I don't want to be too crude, I guess. But this, I feel like this is more like a heat of the moment kind of thing. Just all these emotions running. And I mean, of course, like, again, he's in love with her, obviously. He's probably wanted to sleep with her for a while, and her to him as well. But I feel like she's very guarded with him because she doesn't trust him, because, again, like, he slept with her mom. Like, that's way different than her sleeping with Kureno or, like, one of the others in the Zodiac. Like, he slept with her mom, and her mom is freaking crazy. Her mom's nuts. She's not a nice person, which we've learned that previously. But that was the really big thing that happened in this episode. But some other littler things that happened in the episode is they're making flowers for the graduating class. So that means very soon it's going to be their third year in high school. So Yuki, Kyo, and Podu are going to be third years very soon. They're still second years, but they're, the rest of the school is like tasked to make things for the graduating ceremony for the seniors, and of course the Prince Yuki fan club have to come in and be really annoying. I can't stand them. They're not. I mean, I don't think they show up as much during this part of the manga than they did at the beginning. So, like, that's good, because, like, jeez, my god. But it's comedic, comic relief, and so they take some of the flowers that Yuki made, and the rest of the friend group, like, Hana-chan, Uo-chan, them, they go to find who stole the flowers, and Toru and Kyo kind of stay behind in the classroom. Yuki's kind of like walking around the school, trying to see what other school groups he can help, and nobody's really accepting his help. They're kind of like, oh no, President, we're fine, sir. You don't have to help us. We've got it covered. But thank you so much for offering. And he's kind of like lost as to, like, well, what the heck? Like, I'm offering my services here. Like, you guys can take my help. Hopefully, I want you to take my help. I'm the class president, and I would hope you would want to take my help. But he's kind of reflecting, like, I guess my approach isn't working, because he's observing, this other group of students, they're hanging out, having fun while they're doing the job they're supposed to be doing. He's like, thinking like, well, wow, it'd be nice if I could, have something like that. Like, and he's getting there. This whole time, earlier, like, we see Machi, like, kind of watching him. Like, she sees him through, like, the window. And then when Yuki's observing this other group of students, she kind of shows up and is like, hey, and he's like, whoa, hey, what's up? You need anything? She's like, I just, why are you wandering around? I was watching, I was trying to catch up to you, but you kept wandering around and walking in a weird pattern, like you're not walking like how you usually do. So clearly she's been observing him, and he's just kind of like, oh, well, I'm just I'm patrolling, doing my presidential duties here. And she's like, oh, well, I just wanted to say hello. But she's very shy, very awkward about it a little bit, but you can tell at this point, like, she's got her feelings about him, and he's kind of like interested in her, he wants to get to know her better. So he kind of like blushes when he realizes, like, oh, she wanted to She was looking to come talk to me. Like, she just wanted to say hi to me. Like, wow. Like, no girls ever just, like, said that to him. Mostly all the girls that follow him just, like, want to stalk him and, you know, be creepy about it. Like, they don't actually want to get to know him, but Machi does. So he's kind of like, oh, well, you know, that's really nice of you. And, you know, his heart kind of goes, you know, a little doki over that, which is very cute. And again, she's very shy and embarrassed about it because, you know, she still is very anxious and insecure. But she does give him a flower, and she's like, here. And he's like, wow, this flower looks about as good as the ones I made, and apparently they weren't that good. So, you know, little funny moment between those two. We get a very sweet moment between Toru and Kyo, and they're kind of like she wants to bring up all this stuff with him, but she's kind of like questioning it again, like, should I even bring this up to him? And so she kind of asks him, like, hey, so hypothetically, tell me, if one of the Zodiac members' curse is, like, broken already, like, what would you do? How would you feel? What would you say to that person? And Kyo's like, haven't really thought about it. Like, I don't really know. He doesn't really, like, care. And I feel like that's just because, you know, he feels like it's more of a curse than, like, a blessing. Like, he doesn't really feel connected to the others. Like, yes, he can also turn into an animal, but the cat's not in the Zodiac, so he's still, like, an outsider from the Zodiac members. So I don't really think that he would know what to say, obviously. I guess it's not something he really thinks about. But then she's kind of like, oh, okay, and she, like, kind of doesn't want to bring up anything else, but now she's kind of like, oh, I'm stuck, like, we're stuck in this weird conversation, and she, you know, is trying not to get upset or cry or, like, you know, upset him. She doesn't want him to get upset, but in turn, he's kind of like, oh, no, like, I upset her, and he's trying to, you know, apologize to her, like, hey, no, I'm sorry, you know, I didn't mean it, you know, if you're upset, I'm really sorry, but she's also like, if I look up at him, I'm going to start crying, and I don't want to cry in front of him because I don't want him to ask me what's wrong. She doesn't want to burden him with, you know, all this information or her problems. So then he gives her one of the flowers, I believe. He gives her, which I'm like, where did he get that from? Because all of his flowers were also taken by another group of girls. So I don't know where he got this other flower from. But the flowers are very symbolic in this episode because, like we saw earlier in the flashback with Akito and Shigure when they were younger, he gave her a flower. And then also, when Toru asked him, or was going to ask him about all of this information, you know, and she doesn't, he takes one of the flowers that she's working on and he also gives it to Akito. And it's the same color, it's a red color, like the red flower that he gave her when they were younger. So, you know, that kind of symbolizes that Shigure does remember that conversation about telling her that he loves her more than anybody else does. And it's kind of parallel with this whole, like, flower thing. Like, Machi gave Yuki a white flower because they had red and white flowers for they're just like decorations, like paper flowers. But Kyo also gave Toru a flower, and, you know, white is normally a symbol of, like, purity. So, you know, the reasons for them giving the flowers is very, like, pure, sweet. Red flowers, especially like roses. I know these aren't like paper roses. I don't believe they are. They're just paper flowers. They look more like carnations, I guess, or maybe Japanese flowers. But I mean, the colors are very symbolic, and red is usually like a color of, you know, love, lust. But on Shigure's part, it is for love, more than lust. I mean, they did sleep together, but it's more for love. At least I feel that way. It could be for both, I guess. They're adults. So, you know, it could be symbolic for that. But, you know, Kyo gives her this flower, and before they can really say anything else to each other, the rest of the group comes back in. They're like, yeah, you know, we found the people that stole the flowers. We made them make new ones. So, you know, no big deal, no big deal. I believe that is it. That's all that really happened in this episode. But, you know, we got some very big revelations in this. It's all gonna get crazier from here. You thought Shigure and Akito sleeping together and, you know, revealing that Shigure slept with her mother and that was because of revenge. Like, if you think that's crazy, just wait till we get to some of the other characters that we didn't get to see in this episode and we kind of catch up with them. Oh, right, the very end. I do remember what happened. So Toru does go to look for Rin, because she does think about Rin, and she kind of realizes, like, oh, Rin is also trying to remove the curse, so I need to go talk to her. And she realizes she hasn't spoken to her since New Year's, which has been quite a while, so, you know, now that we're where we are in the story. Like, it happened a while ago. And so she goes to her school and asks these girls outside of the school, like, hey, do you know Isuzu Soma? She goes to the school, and they're like, oh yeah, she's in her class, but she's not here today. She's, like, probably back in the hospital. And these girls start, like, gossiping about her as they walk away from Toru, and Toru's like, okay, thank you. And these girls are like, you know, is that her friend? When did she start having friends? She's never had friends before. Is she even going to graduate? Oh, it doesn't matter. Her family's rich. They're going to pay off the school and let her graduate because she keeps missing school. So Toru is, you know, getting worried about Rin, which, you know, we all should be worried a little bit because we haven't seen this character in a while. You know, we don't know what's going on with her yet, so maybe we might see what happens next episode. I believe Machi is the one who read the next end card for the next episode title. So we might be getting some more Yuki Machi stuff going on. Maybe Manabe too, if Machi's involved. But overall, it was a very good episode, very tension-filled. The scene between Akito and Shugure, I'm probably going to rewatch that scene again. Maybe I'll use that for the thumbnail as well and for the background of the video. But it was a very good scene. And, yeah, let me know what you thought in the comments. If you do like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Again, you know, leave your own comments. Let me know what was your favorite part of the episode. Are you a manga reader? Are you an anime only? Did you expect all that intensity to happen? Let me know in the comments below. And you can visit all of my links to my socials in the description. I have a Twitter, I have a Twitch, and I also have a TikTok account, so I am going to be posting more TikToks as well. And so if you want to go ahead and follow me on there, you're more than welcome to. And if you also want to help support my future YouTube and streaming endeavors in another way, you can also become a patron of mine for as little as $1 a month. And of course, that's also in the description below as well. So if you want your name on the screen here, like I'm showing my $3 and up patrons, which I'm going to shout out. Well, with my $1 and up patrons, you do get your name featured, but if you are a $3 and up patron, you get a vocal shout out. So thank you both to Anime Palooza and Elizabeth for being the best patrons ever. And again, you can find all the information about my Patreon in the description below. And of course, you can also go to the podcast and subscribe and follow the podcast on Twitter as well. We are coming back with a new episode very soon. And yeah, look on online for that. Look forward to it. And with all that said, guys, have fun, stay safe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!